asked me last week, what's the point of why we did all that we did in the buildup? Why on earth last week did we talk politics, power, and authority? Because that's the misunderstanding, the powder keg, and that is everyone's presupposition they brought to the table that did not enable them to see what was Jesus actually doing on that day. Now, lest I sound like I'm sitting here pretending that I can see perfectly what Jesus is doing. That's the whole point in what we did over the course of the last few weeks. I'm not trying to dislodge the way that everyone was born and raised. I'm not trying to dislodge your past, your upbringing, your training, who God created you to be, the people you're from. None of those are a mistake. He did that on purpose. But if we're not careful, those become the point and cloud my vision from seeing what's actually in front of me. So the heart that I have for people as we start this Holy Week and roll from the triumphal entry ultimately to his resurrection on Easter Sunday morning is that every time I study this, and I studied this a lot. Like this is one of those sermons in weeks that doesn't really change. Like what are we gonna do on Thursday? Communion. I mean, there's not much else. There's not much else to do. What about Friday?
Year.
He gonna get crucified. What about Sunday? He gonna get back up. Like, what's the theme? It's the same theme every year.
Yeah.
So the more you study, it's like you add layers to things. Where I feel like, at the risk of sounding trite, he embedded so many Easter eggs in the story of Easter. I just don't want to, because of my pre-held suppositions, and because I treat this as a ceremonial time that happens like in the calendar and fits neatly into this box and then goes back over there with my pastel button-down shirt or whatever that I'm supposed to wear on Sunday. I don't want to stick it neatly over there in a box and not have. I mean, Anna said a mouthful. If this is truly the fullness of time, then all of history prior to this point leads to this crescendo.
Yep.
And then all of history after is living in the after effect of what happened on Easter Sunday morning. Because ultimately we're waiting until he returns to bring the fullness of the kingdom. Yeah. So all we're doing is living in the echoes of it is finished. The echoes of him walking out, the echoes of the earthquake and the shaking of the ground as the tomb opens.
Yeah.
Those powerful echoes are now what's ringing. And what I don't want to do, and what I want to be careful that we study this, for what it is, and not just miss it because we're like, well, he rode a donkey and people shouted. Yeah. Then there was the temple thing, and on we go.